Hi everybody, thank you for joining. Look, before we hit the ground running on this session, I just want to say that we've listened to you. We've got your feedback, and we are not going to continue using this webinar platform pretty much anymore. However, for the rest of this month, the next 3 webinars, we already have hundreds of people that registered, so we're not going to cancel those sessions. We're going to keep those sessions and do our best to make a good experience on this webinar platform. Unfortunately, this webinar platform is not stable. It's like a junior high relationship. So I don't know, I crack myself up. So anyways, if you have a problem, if you can't hear me, if you can't see me, really the only thing you can do is refresh your page. And if you have a lot of these problems happen, please don't cause any stress or grief for yourself. Please just stop watching the webinar, as much as I hate to say that, and catch the recording after the fact. We've spent hours tweaking everything, tuning everything, and talking to the support team to make sure you have as good of an experience as possible, but I can't guarantee that it's going to be seamless. And I apologize. Crystal and I try very hard to make this a good experience. So I'm going to start the webinar pretty much right now, but I do want to let you all know that we've heard you, and these will be the last few on this webinar platform, and thank you for your feedback. All right, so now I'm going to cut all that out from the recording, and we're going to start. Here we go. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. My name is Iman Maghrouri. I'm a Master Solution Engineer here at Salesforce, and today, I think I got a good one for you. Today, I'm going to give you an introduction to Community Cloud. What is it, and how can it help you? First and foremost, though, let me just say thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being customers. Thanks for taking time out of your day to want to learn more about Salesforce. I appreciate your time, I respect your time, and I really want to make this a good use of your time. So speaking of our time together, how are we going to spend it? I'm going to go through some slides to explain to you what Community Cloud is. I figure you're here because you're not that sure about it, and so I'm going to give you an overview. And then I'm going to build one with you. I'm going to build a community with you. And then I'm going to show you a couple examples that are a little bit more robust. You know, I didn't build them in 30 seconds. And then you can see those. And then we'll go into Q&A. Now, look, in this webinar platform, some things you should know. I'm in that big box. You see that presentation box. The font is going to be almost unreadable unless you make it full screen. So click that arrow to take this presentation full screen. And I will do my best to zoom in on the parts of my screen when you need to read the text. If you have a question, put it in the questions section, and you can download the presentation right now from the sidebar, from the resource list, and you can click on a lot of the links that I'll point out later on in the presentation, but they're there as well. And again, if you're watching this and that presentation window goes black, give it a second, but if it doesn't come back, just refresh your page, and that should wake things back up. All right, so some tips for a good time. Don't worry about writing all this stuff down. It is being recorded, and we're going to send that recording out by tomorrow. All I ask, though, is just please fill out a survey and let us know how this content was for you. Let us know if this was helpful. And last but definitely not least, I got to sit through this webinar. So can we try to have a good time? All right. So Community Cloud. What is it? What does it do? Why should I care about it? How does it help me? All right, let's just get into it. So let's start with the problem, right? You don't do business in a vacuum. Chances are you work with a whole bunch of people, right? Customers, brokers, partners, resellers, distributors, suppliers. I mean, you name it. Chances are it's not just you and your employees in a bubble, right? And when it comes to working with these other teams, it's really all about the flow of information, right? How do they get what they need from you? How do you get what you need from them? All right. Is it a lot of email and Excel attachments? Is it one person who's your channel manager and all the partners just email them and that person has to respond to everybody? I mean, is it really just a manual thing right now? This is the problem Community Cloud wants to solve. Okay? We want to help you connect with all these various people and share this information, continue doing business with them in an easy, kind of beautiful way. All right? And so when you think about Community Cloud, it is Salesforce. A lot of people think it's like a separate app or something that you integrate to Salesforce. No. It is Salesforce. It's the same records, the same dashboards, the same everything, the same automation rules. It is Salesforce. Okay? And when you have these communities, your people are logging in and they can access much of the same record information, and it just comes down to how you configure your community. So when you think about your community or community cloud, it's kind of a couple different sets of functionality together. One, it's a website. Oh, forgive me here for a second. One, it's a website. And it lets you create a custom branded website and it'll look good on mobile or tablets or desktops. It's got this portal capability. And when people think portal, it's log in, see your invoices, see your orders, see your support tickets. So this who are you and access my relevant records kind of functionality. And then there's this whole area around forums, or what people think of as forums. You know, let me ask a question. Let me see if other people asked a question. Let me just see what's out in the community. So when you put these three things together, that's kind of what Community Cloud is. It's a website that lets you log in and communicate. All right? And it is Salesforce. And so something people don't really think about that I just want to draw attention to is, say you've got your accounting information integrated to Salesforce. Say you've got your other backend, your software backend system integrated to Salesforce, right? You can have many different things integrated to Salesforce. By integrating them to Salesforce, they are now integrated to your community, right? So you can now show information to your community or pull information from your community into these other sites. So it's a really nice way to extend your entire suite of software. All right, so when we talk about Community Cloud, it is one big set of technology that you just use to configure different experiences. So you would use Community Cloud to make many, many different types of communities. Okay, so a very common one is a self-service community. And I like the DoorDash example because I think with everything going on, we're all pretty much using DoorDash for delivery services. But that is a Salesforce community, right? When you have a question, the knowledge base just answers your question for you. If there's something wrong with your order, a chatbot answers it, knows who you are, knows your recent order, can cancel an item or give you a refund. You don't need a person involved to do that, right? So when you think about a self-service community, that's probably the most common type of community people build. Another one would be a commerce site for your B2B customers. So maybe you've got accounts that buy things from you on a recurring basis and you want to just let them reorder or create their own order. You can do that. You can just put that right in your community, and here's an example of Univar's B2B commerce on Salesforce. All right, partner communities are probably the second most common type of community. Again, they're all just communities. It's just, did you put opportunities and leads in there, or did you put help articles and forums in there? It's kind of up to you to decide. But letting people log into the community to register deals, make sure there's no channel conflict, get leads from you. Maybe they want to request market development funds for the area they're in. So if you've got resellers, distributors, if you have people that you're going to sell with or help you sell, you can do that very effectively with a partner-flavored community. Okay? And then really just build anything you want. I mean, it's basically CRM data, CRM automation rules, and then a beautiful front end. So do you want to put recipes out there? Do you want to connect teachers with schools? What is it that you want to do? Salesforce can be the back end, and the community can be the front end. All right? And you can build communities with no code. You don't need to have code. And you can get something up and running and scalable very, very quickly. And I'm basically going to build one of these with you at the end. All right? And you don't have to build everything. Sure, you can build everything, but you don't have to build everything. Just like we have an app exchange where you can install e-signature or document management into Salesforce, there are plugins or bolts, lightning bolts, that you can install for communities. So if you're doing a certain type of community, you can just install in there. And you can see here as an example, a learning center, right? You could just install a learning center or install an ideas voting page into your community. All right? And then, if you want, this is an additional cost on top of communities, but you should know about it. If you want, you can take your community and we'll turn it into a mobile app on the App Store, in the Google Play Store. And so people will go there, they'll find your app, they'll install it, and it is your community, but to them, it's a mobile app. So if that's something interesting to you, if that's something your brand would want you to do, that's something that's supported. All right? And it turns out when you put stuff people need into a place and they can get help and they can help themselves whenever they want and they don't have to wait on you for an email response, they're happier. They're happier. I personally have been dealing with my own little bit of support issues, and I don't like having to wait for the team to get back to me. I don't like having to wait to email the CSM or whoever who waits 2 days to respond. I want to just go search the knowledge base. I just want to use a chat tool. I just want to solve the problem and move on, right? And when you let people do that, they get happier. So you probably have experienced one of our communities. We use it on you, our customers. So we have an idea exchange. Go there, tell us what you don't like about Salesforce and want to see, and vote on it. And our PMs really do prioritize ideas and then deliver them. You can go and ask a question in the community, right? You can post a question, and chances are someone else already asked it. It's been answered, but we've got a lot of questions in there for you to check. And then we've just got groups. Join the group for your area, a product you're interested in, a getting started group. There's a community cloud group. You can just join the groups and stay up to speed. So we're using this for you, all right? But if you haven't used ours, you've definitely used one of our platforms before. You just haven't realized it. So we have 511 million members using communities today. So we've got a lot of communities. You're probably already using communities. My mortgage company is a Salesforce community. I can tell just because I can tell, but yeah, you're probably a user of our communities already. All right, and my group, that's a link to it that you'll be able to access. When you link to my group to ask me questions later, that's a community. My web page that you saw or you went to register for my webinars, that's a community, and that's a public-facing community. Now, something you should know is if you have Enterprise Edition, you don't need communities licenses. You can just create up to 100 separate communities for no additional cost. These communities are public-facing pages, okay? So they're public, no logins. Once you want someone to log in, that's when you need a community license. And we'll talk about licensing probably during the Q&A, but you don't need communities licenses to create communities. You only need community licenses if you want people to log into your community, all right? Great, Iman, I'm on board. That's why I came to this webinar. So can you hurry up and get to the part where you explain how communities work? Okay. So a community, you create one in Salesforce. We're going to do this, but I'm going to tell you how we do it. So we go to the community section and we create a new community. And when you create the new community, you can pick a template. So if you're going to do a partner community or a customer service community, it'll give you pages, pre-built pages. You can always configure them, but it'll give you a support page or a where are my deals page. It'll put those in there because pretty much everyone wants them in there. Or, you know, start with a blank template. And then pick your theme. We've got a bunch of themes that more or less brand your template really quickly, and then you make it your own, right? So you start with a theme, and then you pretty it up. If you want your own help center, then there is a template for that. Here's some links that you should go to if you're interested in it. But if you're an Essentials Edition customer or an Enterprise Edition customer and above, you can create your own help center, and you don't need to buy any more communities licenses for this to work. Okay? And a lot of people will put their knowledge base in here for people searching and finding answers, and they'll power this with chat as well. So if you're interested in this, check it out. And if you're not interested necessarily in this for your existing environment, Salesforce is giving away products right now during this whole Salesforce Cares initiative we're doing, where this whole COVID thing is impacting everyone, and we still want to help you help people. So check out the Salesforce Cares environment, and that'll give you some community capabilities. All right, but you get your community, you pick your theme, and then you build it. I know I'm kind of skipping over, drawing the rest of the owl here, but you build the community, and really it's a drag and drop thing. So you create a page, and you kind of pick what your page looks like, and then you just drag and drop components from the left sidebar into the community. And then you configure them. And there's a lot of pre-built widgets, okay, that you can drop in. Reports, dashboards, lists of records. You can drop an HTML component in there. So lots of little things you can drop in all over the place. So you don't have to write code if you don't want to. All right? And a lot of these widgets have best practices baked in. So for example, if you contact customer support, you can literally just drag and drop the contact support widget onto the page, and when people start filling out their problem, the knowledge base will filter down automatically based on what they're typing in. So you didn't have to write that code. You didn't have to ask someone to write that code for you. That's what most people want it to do anyways. We just build the widget, we give it to you. Okay? And you can even have different things on the page based on who's looking at it, where they came from, where are they physically in the world. So I can have a page where if you're in California, you get a whole different experience than if you're in Arizona. So you can serve up different elements for your gold customers, your customers with a renewal coming up soon, your gold partners, whatever that is, it can be different. All right, and then you can just embed flows into your community. So you can create automation rules, automation wizards, put those into your community, and let your customers walk through their own wizard. So imagine a mortgage company, like my mortgage company, they could have me walk through the flow where they ask me about what kind of mortgage I want. And all that information just gets sucked into Salesforce and goes to my broker. All right? And then you can decide, do we want to let file sharing? Do we want to post groups in here? Do we want to have experts in here? Do we want to show topics in here? But you basically just configure the content within your community. Okay? And if you already use something like WordPress or Adobe and you've got a lot of great images and blog posts or what have you, you can plug those in to Salesforce. You can just reuse them in your community. If you don't have a CMS, a content management system, we have one. And you can use ours to create blog posts or create nice looking little images, and it'll take records and turn them into nice looking little things on your Salesforce record, on your Salesforce community, or it could take written articles and like blog entries and put those there as well. Okay. Bunch of admin settings. Who can access the community? What kind of permissions do they have? What do our email templates look like? What bad words do we want to make sure people can't say? Hey, is someone talking about the super secret project they shouldn't be? Those kinds of things. All right. And then all of the things in here are records. Everything in here is a record. Accounts, contacts, leads, opportunities, they're records. So you can still create automation rules, like regular automation rules in Salesforce, that fire off things that happen in a community. So if a customer closes their own case in the community, you can still just have the regular old automation rule, send them a survey to let us know what they thought of the process, for example. All right? So that's communities in a nutshell. So I'm going to build one with you very quickly just so you can see what that's like. And then I'm going to show you a couple that I have that are live and a little bit more robust, and we'll check them out and then we'll go into Q&A. All right, so I'm going to create a new community. So I'm in setup, I'm in the community area, and I just click new community. And now I can pick the type of community I want. Do I want a partner community where it comes with onboarding and channel sales? Do I want that? Do I want a self-service community that comes with groups and being able to create your own cases? Is it just an account portal, right? In this case, I'm driving and no one cares, so I'm going to build my own. And I'm going to create it, and I'll give it a name. Doing it live, as is tradition. Doing it live. Great. And now this is doing a lot of things behind the scenes, but it's really going to create a URL right now that'll work. In like 5 minutes, if you wanted to, you could go and actually see my community. It's creating permissions behind the scenes so that only people in this community access certain things. And then it's getting all the workspaces ready for us too. So I think it's done. So that was pretty much it. And here is my community. Now, yes, you could go to content management and start creating blogs and creating images. You could go to moderation and worry about naughty words, or go to gamification and give people 5 points if they answer a question and 10 points if they, post something. But we're not going to worry about that today. It's really, the magic is in the builder. Okay? So I'm going to go to the builder, and we're basically going to have a completely vanilla, nothing on this page community. That's how it's going to start. So the builder's loading here. And it takes a little long the first time, but then after that, it should be pretty smooth. And Crystal, we're not having any issues with audio right now. Everything's okay? No one's complained yet?
Yeah, everything's going great.
All right, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. Okay.
Right.
All right. So here's my, thank you, Crystal. So here's my community, and it's super empty. I could publish it, but no one's going to come here. So let's go to the components on the side. I could drop a dashboard in here. I could drop a calendar. You can see there's lots and lots of things. Let me just build something very quickly, okay? So let me just drop a headline in here, and we're going to put it right in the middle. And I'm going to say, hi, this is Iman's community. And notice I just type it in here, and then the community rebrands it for me, right? And let's go add something else. Let's add some tabs. So I'm going to add some tabs inside of my community. All right, and notice I've got 3 tabs. I don't want 3 tabs. I just want 2 tabs, so I'm going to delete one of them. And I can configure tab 1, and I'm going to call it, I don't know, info, and we'll call tab 2 reports. I don't know. There we go. Right? And so what do we want to do? Let's go into the info tab. And in here, I might do something like give you a list of your own records. Right? So do you want a list of accounts here? Do you want a list of leads, orders, projects? What records should they be able to see? And so here I'm going to drop a record list in real fast. Oh, there we go. It just took a second. So there's my record list. So now I can configure my record list using this little widget on the side. So let me zoom in here. And so, all right, how many records are going to show up in this list? 10. Do you want the full layout when they look at the list? Do you want the full layout when they look at the list? Sure. What object is this list on? It could be accounts, orders, opportunities. What do you want to put out here? I'm just going to say cases. All right, so cases. Which cases? All cases, open cases, partner cases. So these are list views. These are the list views you'd make inside of Salesforce. Let's just say all open cases. Why not? So now I've got a list of open cases, right? And if we go to the reports tab, I can put something else here. So let's just drag a dashboard in here real fast. So I can drag and drop a dashboard component in here. And sometimes it can be a little bit odd, especially with my webinar. There we go. To get it to land. Give it a second, it'll render. And now which dashboard do you want? These are regular dashboards inside of Salesforce that you can then, decide to put out here. And the people that run it, when they run it, they still are limited to the security permissions that they have. They're limited to the access that you've given them as a type of user, right? Now I've got this community, doesn't look that great. Let's add a theme. So I'm just going to add a quick theme, and I think Jepson's pretty good. We're just going to pick this. There we go. So now this is going to go through, add some banner images. It's going to add some font. It's going to add some colors. And if you notice now very quickly, I've got a page that looks pretty good. It pushed my stuff down a little bit, but that's all right. And I could click on this thing here at the top, and I can just change the images, change the branding, put my logo in. And it's essentially this kind of over and over again. So if I look at this content, notice here, I can change the word. So instead of saying our mission, Iman's webinar. All right, so I changed Iman's webinar right here. And if you notice now, it changed on the page. All right, so this is an example community. It's a very simple community, but people could log in, they could click around, they could go to their case, they could see their case, and then I could even start manipulating this page, right? I can go into the builder and go, all right, well, what do I want the case page layout to look like? And I can start tweaking this one. So this is an example of a very simple community that I made in 3 minutes in front of you. Let me show you some more, let's say, I don't want to say advanced communities, but more fleshed out communities. So here's a partner community. And notice I'm not logged in on this tab. So this is the public page. And for the public page, this is what it looks like. New partners, new products, maybe there's a YouTube video you want to embed in here, maybe there's some more images about applying or signing up, right? But you've got a basic page. And then when people go to the login page, you can have a branded themed login page. And once they log in and you know who they are, notice now the page looks different. Look, I'm going to go to the not logged in page and the logged in page, all right? And if you notice, look at the tabs across the top. There are more tabs available to people once they log in than to those when they don't log in, right? So for example, now this partner can see the leads that we've shared with them, and they can accept a lead or not. They have news articles here on the page, and they could click into our CMS and look at our blog posts, for example. And I'm just going to go up here to the top. Training, marketing, right? And I would say selling is probably the most common thing, so I'm going to click into that page. But how are they doing? What's their pipeline look like? What deals have they registered? What deals have been approved, right? So these are just Salesforce records, just like any other opportunity, but this user has permission to see them, all right? And I'll give you one more here. Let's go to performance. Here you can see their dashboard. So when Paul logs into his community, he can see his company's dashboard. This is a partner community example. I've got one other example here for consumers. So you got your customer, and notice this is what it looks like when they haven't logged in. All right, some notes about they should join, just a few tabs across the top. And then you've got your own branded login page. Okay, just slap your image, slap your colors in there. And then when they log in, again, now we're giving them access to more things, right? Now they can log into the community and go look at groups or go to different topics and start drilling in. Right? They can go to the support page and search the knowledge base or their previous work orders. So when you have more time to build out a community, you can put more components across more pages and really flesh this out so it's a robust experience. But every one of these pages was basically built the way I showed you, with the drag and drop editor and then configuring it. And if you want to add your own custom widgets or make it really unique, you can do that as well. Okay? But everything I just showed you is pretty much drag and drop. All right, and so if you want to play with a community, I've actually got links to those at the end, but I have this demo environment called the EDO, Everybody's Demo Org. And here, you will be able to be the support agent, or let's say the channel manager, and the partner or the customer. So you can play both sides. And you could, for example, go to the community and register a deal and then see that come into Salesforce, where you as the channel manager approve the deal, things like that. So if you want to play with one where you can be on both sides, you're not the admin, but you can play with it, go here. If you want help setting up your own, there's no shame in it. WiserSpread is offering 2 hours of free consulting to anybody that says, Iman sent me. So let them know I sent you, get 2 hours of help, whether it's on your community or something else. And these links I think are really going to help. So the first one, customer community examples, there's a whole page of public communities that you could click and go to and really play with them. Hulu, DoorDash, Farmers Insurance, there's a bunch in there, but click that link if you're interested, and you can at least see a real community that was really put together, really branded, and not just some 3-minute exercise I did in front of you. And then if you want to learn it yourself, there's some links to good trailheads. So one that just helps you learn how to set it up, another one that shows you how to get your knowledge base and chat bots into there. And then just because you build it doesn't mean people are going to show up and use it. So how do you roll it out? How do you get people to start adopting this new channel? There's a rollout strategy there. And Salesforce has webinars and just events to help you understand Community Cloud. There are these events where you can join and they'll walk you through building a community kind of click by click. And they also have community specific office hours. So if you're knee deep in community stuff right now, clicking on that last link will let you get to a Community Cloud expert if that's what you're looking for. Not that I'm not an expert, but that's the call for just Community Cloud conversations. And if you like this webinar, good, you got good taste. Coming up on Thursday, we're going to talk about field service, and I've got some fun surprises planned for that one. And then on Tuesday, we're going to talk about Pardot. So Thursday is going to be good for if you've got people getting into trucks and vans, driving somewhere to fix something. And then on Tuesday, we're going to talk about how you can help your sales team essentially be more effective, be more efficient by working better with marketing. How can marketing better nurture, better target, reach out to customers, and then get reps involved at the right time. So that's Tuesday. All right, so Crystal, I'm going to stop. I'm going to take my first deep breath. Hope that the webinar didn't crash halfway through. And I don't know, are there any questions?
Yeah, we got some great questions here. Okay, right away, a lot of folks are wondering about licensing. Can you just double click on that? You talked a little bit about it in your slides, but just talk a little bit more.
Perfect. So if your edition of Salesforce has communities, so that's an Essentials Edition environment or Enterprise Edition on up, basically not the Professional Edition, sorry, then you can have many communities for no additional cost. Now the communities you saw is a completely different set of pages, its own branding, its own everything. And having a community with public pages, that's okay. You don't need licenses for that. Now, what that means is it's a little limited. People can't do things without logging in, right? You can't check my cases, my orders without knowing who I am. So without logging in, you can still create a community and you can make it a more of a share information with people community. So I have my webinar page, salesforce.com/EmansWebinars. And when you go there, that is a public facing community. No one can log in. I don't need you to log in to see my communities. They're all public. That would essentially be free for you if you're in one of the right editions of Salesforce. But now let's say you want people to log in. Great. I want them to log in too. People can get a little bit nervous around how the licensing works. So here's kind of how it works at a high level. There's customer licenses and there's partner licenses. And really, it's the same community technology. It's all communities. The only difference between those licenses is what kind of data are you allowed to share with those types of users. So a partner license can see leads and opportunities and accounts and campaigns and all that stuff. A customer license can see their cases, their orders, their invoices, but they can't see leads, right? You'd never share your list of leads or prospects with a customer, right? So there are different profiles that have access to different objects. That's kind of the difference between licenses. And when it comes to the licenses, you have a couple options. And I think a blend usually makes the most sense for our customers. There's the per user license, and there's a per login license. So per user means Crystal is my customer, and she can log in as many times as she wants, all she can eat. Crystal's a gold star customer of mine, and I know she's always in the community. Give her a license, and she can log in all day, every day, all night, no problem. The other option is, I got like 50,000 customers, and I don't need 50,000 licenses. I don't want 50,000 licenses. And of those 50,000 customers, I have no idea who's going to log in. I don't know. But I know I get like 500 cases a month. I know that out of my 50,000 customers, let's say 700 are going to log in any given month. Okay, so you can do a mix. You can get 700 logins or per session tokens, if you will, a month. And then you can give Crystal, who's your gold star customer, you can give her an all-you-can-eat license. And so now when Crystal logs in, no problem. But when some random other person logs in, it's just subtracting 1 from your total number of logins. Okay? And the higher the number of licenses, the better the deal on the price of those licenses. And typically, the math works out at, if you think someone's going to log in 3 times or more a month, you should probably just give them their own login. After about the 3rd login, financially, it would have just made sense for them to just have their own login. And if you're nervous, if you're really worried, our teams can help you kind of figure out the numbers. But I guess high level, you don't need licenses to use communities. You need licenses for people to log in. The different types of licenses let them access things. Partners can access deals. Customers can access customer stuff. And then for either of those, you probably are going to do a blend where you give some people all they can eat access and other people you're just going to count the number of times they log in. That's my high level advice to the masses. Most of our customers have a blend. And don't worry, it's not like if 60 extra people log in, we just randomly charge you overages and stuff. There's really, I think we're actually very nice on how we do protections in terms of overages and scaling, and I think you should talk to your reps about it. But don't assume communities won't work for you. Assume we can make it work out for you. You just need to talk to your rep about pricing.
Yeah, all right, makes sense. Okay, lots of questions rolling in here. There's a lot of excitement. Okay, so Janet is asking, are communities free with the Nonprofit Success Pack?
I can't speak to that off the top of my head. I want to say that you are an enterprise edition, so you could build a community, but I don't know if you have any logins or not. Please reach out to your nonprofit or your Salesforce.org account executive. They'll tell you what's included with your package, but I don't believe it comes with logins. I could be wrong, but I don't believe so.
Okay, and are all the pages of the community responsive ready? That one's from Juan.
Yeah, so when you create, a good question, Juan. So when you create a community and you create a page, let's go look at our page here. So when you create a page, when you use our templates, let's say you're going to create a page, new page, Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Here we go. Here we go. So when you create a new page, you can pick your template, your theme here. And I'm just going to pick a really simple static one. All of our pages that we create for you are responsive. They'll resize based on the device the person's looking at. There is an option for you to include completely custom coded pages that have nothing to do with us as the outside container. If you do that, then you need to make it responsive. But using communities the way communities are mostly used by most of you, yeah, these pages are responsive. So if I pick this one, for example, I'm going to give it a name, Proof for Juan. Why not? I can't think of a better name. And when you create it, let's just see here. So here's my page, and you can see I can add different columns to the page and kind of resize them as I like. Okay, so make some wider, make some thinner. And then notice here at the top, you can view it on mobile or a tablet. And when I go to mobile, notice what it did. It put them all as a column now, right? And if I go to a tablet, it made the column, still made it a column. And then when we go back to desktop, now it's back to rows. So all of our pages are responsive and the components within them should support it. Now, maybe there's a component here or there that might not, but from my understanding, a great majority of what's available should work on desktop or mobile or tablet.
Perfect. Chris is asking, are there any org settings or community settings that have to be pre-configured before they can build their first community?
Yes and no. No, not really. I mean, you can just start making one, right? But what do you want it to do? And if those things aren't set up right, you should probably set them up. So one is security. So right now, let's say you're a one-person Salesforce shop, just one of you. Chances are you haven't set up any security, almost at all. And that would then apply to your community. So if you create a community and you make the community user super powerful just because it's not locked down, you with your security. Not that it's going to get, it could. So security would probably be the thing I would first have you look at. Just to lock down records, because you don't want to accidentally share every support ticket with every customer or every project with every customer. So setting up your sharing rules is an important part, but you don't need to do it. You should do it. You don't need to do it. You can just create a community and get going and then have to worry about those things. So there is a correct order of operation, but technically speaking, no, you can just go off-roading right now, assuming you're in the right edition of Salesforce.
Perfect. All right. Okay, this one's from Veronica. She's saying, could communities be used as a client training portal?
Yes.
Where they could
Yes.
access their own customized training courses,
Yeah.
things like that? Okay.
Super common use case. Very common use case. So not only can you put let me see if I actually had it in here. One of my demos, I believe I had like a training home center here. Let's see if I don't remember if I published this page or not. So what certifications do I already have? What outstanding training is there? There are straight full LMSs on the App Exchange that you could install into here, and people could then take little trainings and courses from you. One thing I like about certifications is these are records. That's a record in Salesforce. So you can see who was certified on what date. And then you could just use regular automation rules for things like, everyone whose certification is expiring in 90 days gets the reminder email to recertify. So yes, training, certification, courses, that's a common thing for people to either embed in their community or somehow expose in their community. But yeah, super common.
Yeah, as Michelle's saying, also she wants to do a training community for onboarding.
Yeah, exactly. So you would have a customer community, and when your customer signs up, hi, I'm your new customer, I get a log into the community, and maybe when I go to the community, you have this learn tab or training tab, and when people go there, let's see if I have anything here for you. You would have like their courses. In my case, I have my community look like this. So for me, my community is public, so everyone can access it. But if you notice, I'm doing something like go here for newbies, and I'm highlighting content for newbies, right? So you could do something similar and get very robust if you want.
Excellent. All right. Okay, so Bindle's asking, can you talk about using a community from a B2C perspective, business to customer perspective?
Sure.
Will the consumer customer be created as a user?
So you can have B2B or B2C community, so business to business or business to direct to consumer, like a person like Iman or Crystal, not Iman the employee, but Iman the guy that lives in the Bay Area. And so, no problem. I would assume that if you're getting into the tens of millions of people, then that's something we would want to help you manage the scale of. But no, it's the same thing. It would be treated the same way. The technology works the same way. And when random user from San Francisco logs in, they are a user. That user has records associated with them, settings associated with them, and your community could show it or do it. So technically speaking, there's really no difference. It would just be how you design it, how you configure it that we would talk about.
Nice. Okay. And Lindy's asking about, so can communities replace the partner login, the partner license, or do you need a partner license to log into the communities?
So a license is access to a community. So it wouldn't make sense to not have communities because what they're logging into. And if you want people to log in, you need a license. Now, whether you need the partner license or a customer license, that's up to you. And if you don't need people to log in at all, I mean, like, look at my webpage, right? My webpage, anyone can go check out my webinars. We should take this thing off about April. Anyone can look at my webinars. You can click on one and watch a recording, and you don't need to log in. I don't need you to log in to do any of this. I don't need to know who you are to do this. So this page doesn't need any licenses. In your case, if you have partner community licenses, those licenses log people into a partner community. So I wouldn't get rid of one. They're very much together. Now, if you don't need people to log in at all, that's a business decision on your part.
All right. And this one's for Andrea. So where would you go to, so you create the community, where would you go to view the community? Like, how do you know what that URL is? How do you know where that link is? Once you've kind of done the building, how would you just go and view the community?
Sure. So let me go back to my builder. So here I am in my community builder. And at the top here, notice I can just view, it's not published yet. Let me publish it. Publish the community. So now the community is going to go live for the first time. Again, it's kind of a lame community I built, but it's there. And let me go back to my homepage here. And so what you can do is you can literally just click on sidebar, and let me refresh my page. And there's just a link to it. There's just a link to where your community is. And in fact, if I go, here we go. That's why. My screen is a little bit wonky. There we go. And so if I go back to setup, I would be able to go to all or any of my communities. So let me just go to setup and I'll show you here. There's two different ways to do it. One, in the builder, I could click this little thing right here and I can click view my Doing It Live community, and there it is. That's my URL for my Doing It Live community. It would work right now. It's live. That's how I got there. That is my community. And hey, there are my cases. And, there you go. So there's my community. The other option is when you go look at all your communities, you'll see the URLs all right there as well. So you can do it from a specific community in the builder and check it out. You could see all your links right next to them right there and check it out. And also while you're building, you can just hit preview. You can just hit the preview button and scroll around and actually play with the community, go to different pages, and then when you're on a page you want to edit, go back into builder mode. So couple options.
Great. Kathy's asking, so she says, we have a community in place, but we're looking to rebrand or redesign it quite a bit. Is it feasible to move users from an old community to a new community, or will they have to go and re-register? We do not allow guest users.
Okay. You should be able to let them go from one community to another. They're already users. They already have profiles. I believe you can just assign that profile to the new community, and it should let them just show up in the new community. I know, for example, if you have a partner and then you create a new community, you can just add those partners to the new community. So I believe you're going to be okay. That being said, you can always just publish alternative versions of your pages. You don't need to get a whole new community. So I could create a variation for, let's say, my partners, or just not live yet, still pending. I'm confident you need a whole new community just to rebrand or make some changes. You can make changes incrementally, and you can add page variations that determine when things show up or don't show up. And even if you did add a new community, I believe, I'm at like a 90% on this one, I believe you'd be okay to just move from one to the other. But before you do, tons of work. Just log a case with support to confirm that, but I'm at like 90% on that one.
Okay, great. All right, and let's see, a couple questions here from Michelle and David. They're asking, can you create a custom URL? Can you personalize that URL for your community?
So yes and no. Yes. When you set up Salesforce, you can define your own custom domain. So companyname.salesforce.com. And then after the slash, you can configure that as well. So let me share my screen here. So let me just show you. I'm going to zoom in. Gobbledygook for our demo environment. So SEs don't take customer names. So don't worry about all this nonsense. But you would have HTTPS mycompany.force.com / your community name. So employee community, consumer community, customer community, partner community. You could do the slash. So that's what Salesforce will give you. And you could use that. Many people then go to their ISP and set up something called a C name. And essentially what that does is when people go to, www.acme.com/partners, it looks like they're at the Acme website, but really behind the scenes, this page got loaded up. So Salesforce will let you customize the domain, and will let you customize the name of your community and the URL there. But that force.com, that's still where these pages are. They're still coming from force.com. If you want to hide all that, you can, but that's not so much a Salesforce setting as much as it is a domain name thing that you purchase, and you just kind of route that URL to point to our URL.
Nice. Okay. Great. Okay. So Sheena is saying, with the community, is there a way to log in with a license? Like, if there's a login with a license, is the Salesforce One mobile app receptive to those users as well? So I think it's, can you view your community through the, yeah.
No, that's not the right answer. It's not that it can't work. It's that I haven't seen the experience be work really well. It would definitely work with the mobile browser, no problem. And I believe you can get Salesforce One. I believe you can get it to work. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I've done it myself for demos. But most of our customers don't want to say, hey, a random company doing business with me, go install a Salesforce app and log into that and log in a very special way. Most of the time they want to go to my app, go to my company's app. And so we do have that publisher, that mobile publisher. So yes, they should be able to access things from the mobile app. Though no, that's probably not what I would recommend for most people. Either just use the regular browser experience on a mobile app and you're done, or get the mobile publisher route, go down the mobile publisher route. I would not necessarily recommend regular Salesforce app for community users.
Okay. All right. Pedro's asking, can you create an opportunity to your Salesforce, in Salesforce inside your community? So can you create through your community, can you create an opportunity?
Yeah. So it's just sharing records back and forth, right? So as long as your user has those permissions to create those things, then yes, they can. So if I go to my sales home record, for example, you'll see here, these are opportunities. I got opportunities right here. This is an opportunity in the community that Paul can see. And look, we're letting Paul create new ones, right? And I'll create a channel opportunity here. And we'll say Paul's opportunity in all caps, okay? Because he's very excited. And it's a $50K deal. And it's in this stage. And it's going to close at the end of this month. And then whatever else you want Paul to figure out. You hit save. There's a deal. You got a deal now. Paul created Paul's opportunity. There it is. And, there's everything about it. And so, yeah, that is an opportunity in your Salesforce environment. And, let me go back to that list, for example. Let's say Tech Labs add-on, 78K. Okay, so Tech Labs, remember that one. I'm going to just search. I'm going to go back to Salesforce. I think I'm sharing my screen. I'm sharing my screen. And we're going to just search for Tech Labs. Just find that opportunity, Tech Labs, and what was it, 8K, 78K? 78K. Let's find Tech Labs, 78K. There it is. So here's the Tech Labs 78K opportunity. Roughly 78K. That's what it's called. Let's change the name. I'm going to call it to Proofs in the Pudding. Okay? And then I'm going to change the close date to today. All right? And I'm going to hit save. So I just edited the opportunity. I changed the name, changed the close date. You can do whatever you want. And then now when the partner looks at it and he refreshes the page, you'll now see that the record changed, right? The date changed, the amount changed. If they're the same records, there's no communities over there, Salesforce is over here. They are the same database of records. They are the same platform. And just like you use security and sharing rules to make sure this sales rep can't mess with that sales rep's deals, we do the exact same thing for partners. They're just another group of people. And so the records are always Salesforce records. And any update you make in one will instantly update the other because it's not updating something else. It just updated the one record they're all looking at. The real difference is the user experience that a partner community sees. This isn't a separate system. It is Salesforce with branding for you around it. That is what a community is. Same database, same records, same automation rules, same security and sharing model, just more beautiful to look like your company.
Great. All right, we're getting lots of questions around like user management with communities.
All right.
And like, for instance, like if you have customers self-register, this one's from Andrew. If you have customers self-register for a community, meaning they have a login, how do you associate them with an account in your Salesforce so that you know what company they come from?
Yeah, so yeah. Sorry, was there more? Sorry, go ahead.
Nope, that was it. Nope, you're good.
So when it comes to letting people self-sign up, you have choices on what happens when people sign up. So one, they can sign up with, let's say, Google or Facebook or LinkedIn. So you can have social single sign-on, right? So when people go to log in, they don't just log in with username and password. Maybe they use their Google account and they just click it and it just works. But once they sign up, if you allow people to self-sign up, you're right. How do you know what account they're tied to? So there's a couple things. One, you could just make it real easy and go, I don't know who these people are. We're going to put everybody in this public consumer account. Everybody's just the same. You can do that. Or you could have an automation rule run behind the scenes that, for example, looks at their email address and assigns them to the account. Or you write some other rule that can do that correctly. Or you have a person check for new users and somehow do it. Or you don't let people sign up at all because they need to be tied to the right account and one of your team sets them up and then they get notified. So you have lots of options, but if you do want to let people self-serve, you're right, there's some more decision-making the platform needs to do, and that's typically done through some kind of automation rule that would associate that record with all the right records. And it's not even just taking that person and tying them to an account. I mean, yes, do that, but it's also things like, oh, are they a new member of the account? Create 3 tasks for them to do when they sign up. Don't forget to send the email. A lot of other things will typically happen as well. So doable, more elbow grease, I guess is the right answer. Just more automation.
All right. Versus, so Roshan is saying, so if you are on a web page as a visitor, on a community as a visitor,
Yeah.
and you go and you register, how would that work necessarily from a licensing perspective? Are you no longer registered? Are you no longer a guest user at that point? Are you a guest user? How does that work?
All right. So when you go to a community and you're just looking at it, and you've never logged in, Salesforce doesn't know who you are. You don't exist to us yet. So what do we put on that page? Do I just put Roshana's leads and cases and accounts on there? No. No, I don't know that it's you. Do I put crystals on there? No, I don't know that it's you. So we treat everybody as a guest user. There's literally a user record with a user profile that we call the guest user, and you treat everybody like that person. And so all your sharing rules, all your permission rules, all your everything are shared around what can the guest user see. And the guest user basically is public, generic, I don't know who you are. Well, once you sign in, and when you sign in, part of the administrative steps there are, hey, if we let Roshana sign up, what kind of license does she get? So that's all defined as part of the setup process of letting people sign up themselves. But now you've signed up. You've been assigned a license. You are now in the community. Well, if you're in the community and it knows who you are by definition not a guest user anymore, right? You've logged in, so now you're you. Notice this is Paul. Oh, notice in this community knows that it's Paul. This is not a guest user anymore. So once you log in, we don't treat you like a unknown. We treat you like you. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I sure did.
Cool.
Okay. Here's one from Matthew. He's saying, if you have an existing website and would like to use communities, what do you do? So you already have an existing website.
Yeah, this is very common. So good question, and I think I'm going to add that as like a slide next time. That's a solid question. Pretty much everybody that uses communities did not start their company after purchasing communities, right? Like this is not your first. I would say the most common thing is set up your community so it doesn't look too crazy, that it looks like your website. The branding should kind of match. Fair? All right. And then on your website, you've got a link to support or ask questions or whatever the thing is that makes sense. And when people click it, they're just on a new page now. And it's got all the community stuff. So you don't really need to do anything except that I would say match branding and get a smart link to send people over. That being said, if people log into your community already, I've got software companies that have people log in all the time, right? You're going to log into Twitter. You're going to log into DoorDash. They already know who you are. You logged into DoorDash. You logged into Twitter. So when you do that, you could set up single sign-on between your website or your service and the community. So if someone's already logged into your website as whoever they are, they just click the link and your website can tell Salesforce, hey, Salesforce, this is Roshana. Can you please just let her in? And then we let her in, and then she just sees her own stuff. So I hope that answered your question. You don't really need to do much other than link one to the other and, visually make them look like they all belong to the same company. Yeah.
Nice. A couple of quick questions here. Owen's asking, can you reactivate an inactive community portal?
I want to say yes. I don't see why not. I want to say yes. I'm at like 85% sure on that. I haven't jiggled that cable in a while, but I think so. I don't see why not. I'm not aware of it's dead to you now. I'm not aware of that being an issue.
Okay, what about deleting? Can a community be deleted?
No, you can inactivate them though.
All right.
Yeah.
And let's see. Can you do this one for Ash? He's asking, can you quickly just show where you go about setting up a public versus a page that has a login?
Sure. So let me go back to my community. Let's go back to the builder. So there's a couple things you do. One is the community itself publicly accessible or not? So is the community publicly accessible or not? So yes, people can get here and see something without needing to log in. All right, and notice here's the guest user profile. So this is the profile I would configure if I want webinars to show up. For the record, that's how my website works. My website has a public checkbox, and the guest profile can read communities or read events. You can't edit my webinars. You can't create webinars. You can read them, so you can see them. That's how my community works. So one, it's public. Great. Number two, pick a page. Pick any page you want. Create the one you created for one, create your training page, just pick a page. And when you get to the page, is that page public? Is that page hidden behind a login? So then you're saying the community's public, but you can't get to this page without logging in. Even if you click a link, it'll ask you to log in. But let's say this page too is public. Well, you can have a couple different variations. You can have one variation of the page for people that are, let's say, the guest user, and you can have a different variation of the page for people that are, and then you can create all your different rules. People with the partner profile, people with the sales profile, people with the learning profile. So you can create different variations of the page that they'll get served up based on who they are. That's always kind of interesting, okay? And the last one is, let's say you drop something onto a page. All right, I'm going to drop this into the page. Not that anyone would really care about it, but it's just something. So I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to say something like only for customers. And then I'll even put a little video in here. So maybe there's a video that only customers can see. So let me add a little video element here. There we go. Great. There's me pointing people to the future. Okay, whatever. So here's a real component. Now this component can be hidden behind a login, right? So now I can say only people that are in California can see this video. Only people that have logged in and have a certain profile can see the video. So you can make the whole community public or not. You can make whole pages public or not. You can make different versions of pages that different people will get based on where they are or who they are. And then you can just put stuff on pages and determine who sees those too. So all kinds of different control based on what you want to do.
Excellent. Okay, Shola is asking, can I use communities to display a survey?
No.
And allow
yeah, totally. Yeah. Yes.
And allow users to answer the survey without the users logging in.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes. It's doable. Yeah. Doable. I'm thinking about it. I don't see why you couldn't. Yeah. But it's a little scary if you let that happen without people logging in. Only because I wonder how people get there. I wonder how you know if they're the right person filling out the survey. Yes, something like that could work because a survey record is not leads, accounts, contacts, opportunities, cases. It's a custom object. Custom objects you absolutely can put into a community, and I believe you can have people create those, no problem. Just trying to think, would there be a real issue? The only real issue I can think of is if you wanted that survey to share information about their case. So for example, hey, Rashana, how did you feel about Crystal's level of support? Right? So in that case, in that instance, you may not be able to do quite enough with the public-facing community. You might need to know who they are. But at a high level, technically, yeah, you should be able to have surveys in your community. I don't necessarily believe you must have a login, but complexity here is in the details. And if all of a sudden you say, but you know, they got to upload their file. Oh, but you know, they got to make a chat. You know, if you add some little extra, you know, they've got to be able to do this. Well, then maybe they need to log in. But as of right now, yeah, you're probably okay just doing surveys public facing. Yeah.
All right, makes sense. Joe here's asking, for training for existing employees, could I create a community or use some other home for the actual training materials themselves?
Yes. Yes. So, ooh, God, these are good questions. See, I didn't want to go all crazy into this because I didn't think people were ready for it, but I like it. You were ready for it. So here, check this out. I'm going to go to Salesforce Setup. So if you're a regular user, I'm an employee and I work at your company and I have a Salesforce license. Well, then you can allow me to access communities. As a regular user, I can log into the community. All right, and I'll still be me with my profile, my security, me in the community. So yes, you can 100% create a community. Oh, I didn't show any of that, did I? Here. Forgive me. Here's the app switcher, and let me just show you here. So when I'm logged in as a user, I can log straight into, I can switch apps from sales, service to community. So yes, that is a very common use case, an employee community. You have a community, it's branded, put some chatter groups in there, put some files in there, put some training in there.
Okay, this one's from Una. So she's asking, okay, Just wondering if we have a community, can it work as WordPress or Drupal, these kinds of content management type systems? If so, is it possible to migrate? If you think it's possible to migrate a Drupal site or would you prefer? Was it a best practice to migrate from Drupal to a Salesforce community?
So Salesforce. So if you're using Drupal for your real website, you don't need to migrate off of it. You can actually use it. So notice here I've got CMS here. So you really could, if you had Salesforce connected to your CMS, when you drag and drop this little header onto the page, for example, it would ask you, well, where's it coming from? You'd say Drupal. And then it would say, well, what do you want from Drupal? And you go, header image. And then you could just use the stuff from Drupal in Salesforce. So there was a slide I had, and I'll try to pull it up very quickly because it had these images for you. Let me just find it very quickly here. I think I passed it. I'll give it 30 seconds, and if I don't find it, we're just going to call it a day. Ah, here we go, right here. So if you notice, there are many other CMSs that you can connect Salesforce to. And you could just use the stuff there. You don't have to migrate it or copy it or redo it. So if you like it, keep using it. If you're looking for a reason to migrate off, or if you don't want to pay for those licenses anymore, you don't need them anywhere else, Salesforce has its own CMS. We released it about a year ago, and we've been making it much better and better at pretty much every release. But we have our own, but you don't need to use ours. You can just keep using your own.
All right.
Yeah.
Tara's saying, okay, so there's a login cap, say 700 logins in a month. What happens to that 701st person who tries to visit?
Yeah, nothing. They just keep logging in. They can log in, no problem. Okay. Nothing happens. So, forgive me, I don't know the exact percentage off the top of my head anymore, and things can always change, but it's something like this. Let's say you have 700 a month. We will let you go, I want to say about 50% over that, without really any problems. And I don't even think we shut down the community. I just think you get stern phone calls. Really, we want you to have a good experience. So I don't think our first move is 701, shut your community down. No. If anything, I think it's something like a 3-month running average, and then if over 3 months you're going over by a lot, they're going to call you and want to right size it with you. But if you're worried about overages, that's a great thing to talk to your rep about. I actually feel like we do a very good thing there. So let's say, for example, let's just say 1,000 logins a month. And then you launch this new webinar platform that you're using, and it's a train wreck. And everyone shows up now to log cases. You're going to see then you go back to normal, and things are back to normal. So I feel pretty good about overages. Now, that being said, if you buy one license of communities and you have 3 million people log in, yeah, there's going to be some cutoff that happens. A lot of people and a lot of emails, a lot of notifications out before that happens. So overages over a long time are something we'll want to right size, but the 701st person to log in, we don't like shut them down or send you a random bill or something like that. No.
All right.
Yeah.
Quick one here from Lindy. When creating a community and adding the knowledge base, does the knowledge base article need to be public?
All right, so you've got this knowledge base. This knowledge base is where you store your answers to questions or common problems. When you write an article, it's a record. It is a record in Salesforce. You determine what channels that article is available in. Is this available on the website? Is it available in the partner community? Is it available internally? Where is it? And then, not just that, but you can have different levels of access in the article itself. So for example, here's the knowledge article, here's everything you need to know, and here's the special notes for engineering, and only engineers see that, your customers won't see that. So you don't have to make your article public as much as you have to make your article published into the channels where you want it to be. We won't just randomly take your knowledge base and put it places without you explicitly saying that's what you want to happen.
All right. A couple here from Rashana has a couple quick questions here. She's asking, okay, so is there, if I create a community, and is it by default visible to people outside outside organization or only internal users?
If you create a community, no one can access it unless you make it public or give people login access.
Okay.
Full stop.
Sounds good.
And when it comes to giving your employees access in the community, you determine which profiles of your users can access it. And if you give your sales profiles access to it, they can access it. But just creating a community in a vacuum and not giving people access to it and not making it public, it's not like all of your info is just out there now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. And she's asking, is there anything the partners need to log in and access only their information? Is there any kind of additional configuration that needs to be done?
You would want to set up so that it works correctly. There's typically a concept called a sharing set. And a sharing set is usually the kind of sharing rules you'd create for partner communities, customer communities. So sharing rules and sharing sets are what you would look at. And you just want to make sure that it matches your company's perspective of what people see, right? Like, for example, everyone can see everyone's leads. I'm okay with that. Or no one can see anyone's leads, right? So you would just need to configure Salesforce sharing rules to work appropriately for you. And in communities, there's one extra feature available to you called a sharing set. And so a sharing rule is typically determined based on fields on that record. Like, is this a West Coast account or an East Coast account? Well, share it with the West Coast team or the East Coast team. And then, who owns the record? Oh, Iman owns the record. Well, then Crystal, his boss, should be able to see the record. Those are normal sharing rules. But in a community, they don't care about what fields on their record, and they don't care which employee owns a record. So with sharing sets, it tends to be logic like, if this support ticket is on your account, you can see it. If this project is on your account, you can see it. If you've sold to this customer, you can see that opportunity. Things like that. So yes, there are sharing rules to make all of this work appropriately.
Nice. And can you play with communities in a developer instance? Do you know?
I want to say yes, but I haven't done it in a while. Either way, go to Trailhead and take the communities course. It'll I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, last one here from Michelle.
Okay.
She's saying, do I create a community from the partial environment for a training community that uses accounts without using actual accounts and data?
I don't think the right answer is to make a community in your sandbox. Because if you ever refresh your sandbox, that community's gone. So if you want the community to be persistent, I don't think you should build it in a sandbox. That being said, you can create sharing sets of data and just put that in there. So no, I wouldn't recommend a sandbox, because if you ever refresh your sandbox, the whole thing's gone.
All right. Yeah, I think that was great. I think you covered it. That's all the questions we have.
Okay, all right, just 45 more time in questions, an actual demo. And I didn't hear too many people say that they got booted off the webinar or they couldn't hear. Hoping we all had a much smoother experience this time. Look, thank you all for coming. I hope this was a good use of your time. I hope this got you excited and energized about what you can do with communities. Please go check your environment, start creating communities, take that Trailhead, build a community. And if you seriously need something right now to help your customers or your employees, check out that link to Salesforce Cares, where we're giving away product that's pre-configured to help you do that, at least during this whole COVID crisis, I guess. Anyways, thank you all for coming. Please fill out a